Hi and welcome back to the video Create and Manage Users, Groups, Roles and Administrative Units. In this video you will learn to handle the following tasks. We will begin with the setup process of a custom domain and a company branding configuration. Next we will configure and manage user and several group types of a typical practical scenario. After user and group creation process, we will follow up to build a simple licensing strategy. For a successful administrative delegation, we will build administrative units and assign the required roles. Finally, we will end up this video with the integration of external users to implement collaboration scenarios. In the domain setup process, we will add a custom domain to address the public representation of the company by the solution. Basically, Microsoft is proving the ownership of the custom domain for security reasons. To add and verify the custom domain, you will need 3 PowerShell commands and a TXT entry in the public DNS. New MSUL domain to add the new custom domain. Get MSUL domain verification DNS, which provides you the value for the public DNS entry. A TXT entry with the received value in your public DNS environment. And confirm MSUL domain to complete the verification process. To address the corporate identity in mails, on the login page and other interactions, we will upload a corporate illustration, logo, and a sign-in note for the login page. With this configuration, you will get a basic corporate identity in place. First, we need to connect to our Azure environment with the Connect MSUL Service CMDLED. We create the new custom domain with the new MSUL domain CMDLED. You will see that the domain is not verified. Use the Get MSUL Domain Verification DNS CMDLED to get the DNS entry for your public DNS. You will find it under the label. After you have created the text entry in your public DNS, you need to wait some time depending on your DNS configuration. With the Confirm MSUL Domain CMDLED, we will complete the verification. Next, we will configure the company branding by opening the Azure portal and the Azure AD management. Under the company branding option, we will upload the illustration, the logo, and the fill of the sign-in text. If you use your own set, respect the sizes and limitations. Test your configuration over myapps.microsoft.com. Now that we have configured our custom domain and the corporate identity, we will create a basic set of users and groups for the example scenario to see the most important capabilities. To create the users and groups, you will use the script HR import to Azure AD that will use a CSV file and can represent a simple HR onboarding process. The script will create the users with the new custom domain by using a simple filter to exclude the on-Microsoft namespaces. With the Azure AD Add Groups script, you will create just a few groups, and we will fill them in the following tasks. In the next steps, we will configure several group types to address different models to assign permissions and access to information and applications. Let's start by opening the PowerShell. Execute the script HR import to Azure AD from the course code package. Check the results in the Azure portal. The users from the CSV file should exist now. Next, check the licenses of a user account. The EMS and Office 365 licenses should be assigned. Now we will create the example groups by executing the script add or groups. Check the new created groups in the Azure portal. With the next steps, we will create a simple licensing strategy based on group memberships. We will use a criteria-based group membership in our example based on the usage location. You can choose between many different attributes to address your needs. Furthermore, you can configure a granular licensing model with different licensing plans and combinations based on user roles or other needs. Now we generate a group-based licensing model with the creation of the O365 and EMS licensing group. For that, we use a membership type, dynamic user, and the query specification for the usage location attribute. Next, we will configure the owners of the HR, Don Hall, and the sales group Doris Sutton. The settings allows the owner to manage the group in the Manager Direct Assignment model. To provide the management capabilities to the owner, we enable the self-service group management. We test the configuration over the My Apps portal with the user Don Hall. Under the Group section, you can see the HR group and the management of the group under Group Policy. After providing the manager model, we enable the self-service capabilities to allow the creation of Office 365 and security groups. We test this functionality with the My Apps portal and Doris Sutton. Under the Group section, we create a new Office 365 group, Sales Internal News, without a manager approval. This group type allows a mail-enabled collaboration set. Next, we create a security group, Sales LinkedIn App Self-Service, with a manager approval. We don't assign the LinkedIn app in the moment. This will be done in the next videos. We test the functionality over the My Apps portal and Pedro Mitchell. Under the Group section, you will find the two new self-service groups. You will join to both groups. The Sales Linked App Self-Service group runs as expected into an approval process. Start a second browser or in private session with the My Apps portal and log on as Doris Sutton. You will receive an alert to approve the requested group membership of Pedro. Approve the request and go back to the browser session of Pedro. Check the group membership of Pedro. With the next configuration, we will build a managed group for projects or teams, in my example a project. In the browser session of Doris Sutton, create a new security group with owner assignment. Assign Pedro Mitchell to the new group. Go back to the browser session of Pedro and check the group membership. Obviously, you can also use an Office 365 group to get all the collaboration features in place. In the next task, we will create a criteria-based security group called Accounting, with a department attribute match. Afterwards, we will fill the department attribute on the users Brian Cox and Jeff Simpson. Check the group membership of the accounting group. You should see Brian and Jeff after a while. The next topic we want to address is the need for the delegation of administrative tasks. Azure Active Directory provides a solution with administrative units. These objects are only manageable with PowerShell. Actually, there is no UI option available. With the new MSOL Administrative Unit CMDLET, we create a new administrative unit called HR. This example allows the HR members in smaller companies to directly modify user information without the need of IT professionals. To add in two members of the HR department, we need to define variables for the add MSOL Administrative Unit member CMDLET. Obviously, you can use the direct values, but we recommend to use variables. Finally, we will add the two users as members of the administrative unit. Let's get started with the connection to our Azure AD with Don Hall as usual. In the first step, we will check the actual behavior with the get MSOL user and the set MSOL user CMDLET. You should get an access denied message as expected. After the test, we connect to Azure AD with the admin account to configure the scenario. We use the new MSOL Administrative Unit CMDLET to create the administrative unit. Next, we will set the variables for the following add MSOL Administrative Unit member CMDLET. Please use the correct usernames. After creating the administrative unit and adding the members, we need to test our configuration. After the successful test, we will scope and assign the administrative role. To apply the correct rights, we will use the user account administrator and assign the role to our example user in the administrative unit. Now that we test our configuration with the get MSOL Administrative Unit member CMDLET, that the correct users are set. With the get MSOL role CMDLET, we can view the current available roles in Azure AD. We need to use the Azure Account Administrator. Next, we need to define the variables for the role and the user. Afterwards, we assign the scoped role with the add MSOL scoped role member CMDLET. Finally, we connect to our Azure AD as Don Hall and try to update the department attribute of Alan Adams. To provide the capability for B2B scenarios, we will configure the invitation settings in the Azure portal. Furthermore, we assign a responsible person to the guest inviter role over PowerShell. Finally, we will invite an external person to allow the logon to our managed resources. In the video, configure user and group-based application access and licensing, including conditional access with Azure MFA, we will configure some practical scenarios with the external users. In the Azure portal, we allow the administrator and the members of the guest inviter role to invite external users. With the Add MSOL role member TMDLAT, we will assign Doris Sutton to the guest inviter role. In the next step, Doris Sutton will log on to portalazure.com to invite an external user. The user needs to approve the invite and is allowed to log on into our Azure environment. In this chapter, you have learned to set up a typical identity and access management scenario for a small business and a cloud-driven approach. Now you are able to create and manage users, groups, roles, and administrative units to address the most common needs in such a scenario. Well done! Hope you get back soon for the Manage Azure AD with PowerShell and Grave API video. We will rock the experience of the journey to the next level.